next up we have Denyelle Fraser. So Denyelle is an equity design consultant and founder of More Than Enough Consulting, where she helps organizations embed equity into their mission, policies, and practices. A Black neurodivergent woman, she blends lived experience with expertise in systems change, policy development, and community engagement to create actionable and human-centered strategies. Welcome.
Okay, I'm going right in with an audience question. You ready? Okay. By a raise of hands, how many of you have ever had so many tabs or apps open that your computer slows down intensely or shuts down or like freezes completely? Okay, so basically everyone, awesome. So you understand there's context. Okay, that's my brain. Except I cannot hit refresh. I can't do what IT tells us to do and we love so much. Turn it off and turn it back on, right? Happy International Women's Day. My name is Denyelle Fraser, founder and equity consultant of More Than Enough Consulting. And today I'm going to be talking to you about something I know personally and intimately, ADHD, perfectionism, and womanhood. Okay, because ADHD isn't just about being forgetful, right? We often think about ADHD as the little boy who can't sit still in the classroom, but it's way more than that, right? It's about living in a brain that processes the world differently, a brain that's constantly in survival mode. And when you add being a woman, a mother, a Black woman, someone who is young, and then for some extra razzle-dazzle, we add in an entrepreneur. When you layer all of those intersecting ingredients, the weight of it all, it's suffocating, or it can be. And for me, it's the masking, it's the perfectionism, it's the performance that gets me every time, right? So often when I walk into a new space as a consultant, a speaker, a leader, and I assert myself as an expert, I literally see it. I see the physical reaction, I see the shock, I see the disbelief, I see the double takes. And sometimes if they're bold, I might even get the, oh, you're the consultant? Oh my God. And in that moment, I know that I have to be twice as prepared, twice as polished, twice as perfect, because my margin for error is very slim. So what do? Cue the mask, cue the performance, cue the hustle harder, get this money, be better, prove yourself mantra. And for women with ADHD, many of us go undiagnosed or misdiagnosed because of what we're taught when we're little. And when I think back to my teens and my early 20s, my ADHD didn't look like not being able to sit still. It looked like perfectionism, hyper-focus to a fault, hyper-fixation on goals. It also looked like Denyelle chats too much on her report card kind of thing, right? My desk, it was constantly positioned right beside my teacher's desk or in the hallway in an effort to get me to focus and concentrate. But that's besides the point, right? The former were things that I was praised for, so I internalized it. It became a part of my personality. This obsession with achieving, proving, delivering at 3,000% in every area of my life at all times. But inside, I was obviously struggling, and I would set these incredibly high expectations, right? The 57 tabs open, but my executive functioning couldn't keep up. And then what would I do? I'd freeze, I shut down, and I go into the reoccurring spiral of shame and guilt, self-doubt, believing that my struggle was a personal failure, instead of understanding that I was never designed to thrive in systems, places, and spaces that weren't built for brains like mine. So the best thing that has ever happened to me, I think, in my adult life was my ADHD diagnosis. So for example, this right here is my best friend, my iPad. It goes wherever I go. Because like many neurodivergent folks, my executive functioning is not reliable. And so although I love to speak, I love to facilitate, I love to coach, I love all the things. It does make me nervous, I'm human. And when I'm nervous, my anxiety creeps in and my working memory is shot. So, and that's the thing about ADHD, going back to the survivor mode. It's like constant fight or flight for the little things that maybe a neurotypical person wouldn't even blink at. So today, I literally had to have a conversation with myself before coming in here, on the way here. Danyelle, you are not being chased by a bear. You're just gonna talk for a few minutes, and you're gonna be fine. Everything is gonna be fine. And this is the thing, for the longest time, I would stay up all night, I would have panic attacks, I would stress myself out because I put so much pressure on myself to remember all that I prepared, remember the script, and because I thought if I knew my stuff, I wouldn't need notes, I would be able to do this from my memory. But that's the trap, and that's what my ADHD diagnosis has done for me. It set me free, because now I just bring her with me unapologetically. And I stopped forcing myself to function in a way that my brain literally does not work in. And that's the real work, right? Not doing more, but giving ourselves permissions to show up as we are. And so, with all that, my 3 lessons that I've learned on this ADHD journey of mine, the first one being, and this is my mom speaking, number 1, what someone else thinks of you is none of your business, right? You don't have to perform for approval. You don't have to prove that you belong. You are more than enough. Lesson 2, show up with what you need. And it's funny because this lesson was initially planned to be something else, but I practiced with my dad and then with my really good friend. And once I finished, they were both like, do I have ADHD too? And I'm like, okay, if that's how it's landing, we gotta recircle and revisit, because my intention is not to facilitate a crowd through potential diagnosis. Right? But the point is, what I'm trying to make is that you show up as you are with what you need to succeed regardless. You don't need a diagnosis to do that, and that's what it takes to be kind to yourself and to give yourself grace. And then the third one, my too muchness is my superpower. So how many of us have been told that we're too much, especially as women, non-binary folk, right? Too loud, too assertive, too emotional, too intense. She talks too much. Well, I used to believe that too, but now I realize my too muchness is what makes me passionate, it's what makes me empathetic, it's what makes me creative, it's what makes me Danyelle. And so with all that being said, my brain may have 57 tabs open, but today, we're closing the one called perfectionism. I was going to drop the mic to everyone.